everyone. I hope that you can hear me. Um, Most of you, you probably are not able to unmute yourself now or turn on your videos, but if you have any questions and if you want to react to what we are saying, you can always use the reaction emoji, and and if you want to ask a question, you can always raise your hand, use the emotion, and we will react to you. But we will leave the questions to the end, so you can write your questions in the Q&A box during the presentation, and we will cover those questions at the end. And if we see that one or another question is appropriate to address during our presentations, so we will do that, but don't worry if we don't answer your question right away. We will answer your questions later on. So it's very exciting to have you all here in this meeting. I won't say presentation because it's a meeting, though you are not able to unmute yourself at the moment, but we will make sure if you want to ask a question out loud or share some of your impressions at the end. So you will be able to do that later on. But at the moment, I'm very pleased to welcome you as the one who has been already admitted to LCC. So that's very exciting that you are considering and chose LCC as one of the universities for your further education. And we can't wait to see you here on campus. And I hope that everything will work out well for you and we will see you here in person at LCC. Before we begin, I also would like to introduce you to my colleagues, our admissions team. It's not all of them here today because part of our team, they are doing a presentation and a webinar for those who have not been admitted to LCC yet or who are still considering whether they want to apply to LCC. And other part is now meeting you today. So let me introduce you to Admissions Associate Director Lydia Oreshchuk. So there's Lydia, she's waving at you. There is Senior Admissions Counselor Yeva Pawlowskina. And there's also Admissions Counselor Monica Terasuta. And you will hear from them today too. But I will begin. And we will move on to save your time. Again, I want you to encourage to ask questions. You can leave your questions in the Q&A or Q&A box or in the chat, or you'll be able to ask the question out loud at the end of the presentation. All right. So you, as a student who has been already admitted, there are quite a few dates to remember, and there are quite a lot of information to know before you actually arrive to LCC. And we want to make sure that this transition to LCC is as smooth as possible. We want you to be informed of all the things, what awaits you before your arrival, and what to expect after arrival. So we will begin and we will cover a few important dates that you have to keep in mind. So if you have your notes next to you, you can write down important things, but also we are sending this information to your email. So it's very important so that you would read your emails and follow your counselor's instructions. So November 15 is the final application deadline, as well as the need-based aid application deadline. So as a student who is considering starting your studies in spring semester, you are expected to submit your need-based aid application and all the required documents by November 15. So I would encourage you to submit need-based aid application as soon as possible because sometimes it takes time to prepare the important documents. And sometimes it happens then a student submits a need-based aid application and it appears that some documents are still missing. So you don't want to waste that opportunity to apply for the need-based aid. And I'm just encouraging you to submit all the documents by November 15. Don't wait for the final deadline. Act upon that now. And as a student who is applying for the spring semester, you are expected to submit 2 applications. So one application for the spring semester 2023 and another application for 2023-2024 academic year. So you need to fill in 2 separate applications and you can submit the same documents. And they must be covering the last 12 months of your income and expenses. Housing application. So if you're a student who requires housing, so housing application is due November 20th. So that means that you must pay your admissions deposit earlier than November 20th in order to be able to apply for housing. During October and November months, it's a time to apply for National Visa D. So if you are an international student who required to get Visa D, you need to apply during November month if you haven't done that yet. December 1st is a non-refundable admissions deposit. So if you are an admitted student and you are now thinking whether you want to study at LCC or not, you need to make up your mind by December 1st. However, we would encourage you to make your up mind before November 20th if you need your housing. In December 6th, for those students who make the deposit payment in time, we will send estimated bills on December 6th. So that will be a bill already for your spring semester. And on December 20th, the full spring tuition and housing payments are due. The official move-in day to the resident halls is January 5th. And we also have a first-year student orientation, which starts on January 6th. Later on, we will cover a little bit more about each aspect of that, what's happening and what to expect there. And classes start on January 9th. So these are very important dates, that the official arrival and move-in day is January 5th, and orientation is on January 6th to 7th, and your classes are starting on January 9th, right after the new year. So we still have financial aid available for students. For BA students, prime students are not eligible to apply for the financial aid. And the final application deadline, as I mentioned, is November 15th. So you need to submit two separate applications. If you still have any questions about the need-based aid application and what to submit, please contact your admissions counselor right away, and we will be able to help you out. Again, do not wait for the last deadline because we cannot ensure that we will have enough of need-based aid or if we will have any. So that's why we encourage you to consider all the deadlines that we have, because you might miss the deadline and you won't get access to any of the need-based aid at LCC. So as we mentioned, a non-refundable admissions deposit of €300 is due December 1st. However, if you need housing, if you're considering staying on LCC campus and you want to apply for housing in time, you must make the deposit by November 15th, just because the international payments takes time. And we must see the payment in our system in order to give access to the housing application. So again, don't wait for the December 1st. If you need housing, please make the non-refundable admissions deposit payment no later than November 15th. For the rest of the students who do not need on-campus housing, you can make the decision by December 1st. So non-refundable admissions deposit, as the term already says, that it's non-refundable, but it's part of your tuition and housing fees. That means if you come to LCC, the sum will be reflected in your bill that you already make as a first installment for your tuition fee, or for that will be already part that you make a payment. However, if you decide not to come, this payment is non-refundable, and this payment secures a spot in the university because we have limited spaces for the spring semester, and also secures your guarantee to housing. So you must meet all the deadlines in order to make sure that you get a space in a university in that you are able to apply for housing. Full tuition fee for spring and housing payments are due December 20th. If you will make the payment later than December 20th, we usually charge additional fines. So that's important. To keep all the deadlines is very important. So the full tuition fee and housing for the spring semester is due December 20th. You can also apply for the payment schedule. So some students, they are able to apply for the payment schedule so that your payment for the spring semester could be divided in 3 parts. And the first part for the spring semester is due December 15th. Housing application is due November 20th. And it's very important to meet all the deadlines because we have at this point very limited spaces in our residence halls. So do not miss the deadline, because after the deadline we are not able to guarantee that you will get access to our on-campus housing. So you'll be able to apply for housing only if we receive your admissions deposit. And students who are full-time BA and prime students are able to apply for housing. However, students who are 27 years old or older, or who are married, or who are residents of Klaipėda, they are not able to apply for housing. So students who are 26 and younger, not married and not a Klaipėda resident, they can apply for housing. And it doesn't matter whether you are a BA or a prime student, you can apply for housing. However, it's important to keep in mind the deadline. It's November 20th. So now I will give the word to my colleague, Lydia, who will be able to cover some questions and some aspects of Visa D. So those students who are from Lithuania, please bear with us for a moment until we get to other information that is mostly relevant to you. Lydia?
Yes, thank you, Vidmante. Hello, everyone. It is great to see and to meet you all today. Before I begin talking about the visa matters, I just want to highlight one thing, is that you need to be in constant touch with your admissions counselor and read the instructions that she sends to you, because many of them are very country specific. And that's true not only about visa and migration procedures that would be relevant also to your need-based aid application. So like Vidmante was mentioning, that prime students are not eligible to apply for financial aid, but we do have a small exception for students from Ukraine only this semester, as we have a special Ukraine fund to cover those who need help. But again, lots of things that are related to documents are country specific. They're not necessarily just requirements from LCC, they're requirements from the Lithuanian states, from different agencies. So we make sure that we inform you about all of them, and your counselors are able to send you the most accurate and the most relevant information for your case. But if we're talking about international students in general, and that mostly includes students that are coming from outside of the European Union, and even in that group, there are exceptions. But as a rule, non-EU students or non-European Union passport holders need to have a national visa D in order to come and legally study in Lithuania. There are some exceptions, for example, for students from Ukraine or from Albania that have this visa-free regime that allows them to travel without a visa. So once again, you can talk about that separately with your counselor if you still haven't or if you're not sure. But as a rule, all foreign international students need to apply. And we, as a university, help you in this process. We give all of the information, but we do not give out visas, right? So it's your task to apply, to collect all the necessary documents, and to make it happen. You first also need to make this non-refundable admission deposit so that we would also prepare some documents that are required from our side. Then fill in this form that was sent to you by your admissions counselor, schedule an appointment. Lithuanian visas are not issued automatically, so you need to go to an embassy and actually apply in person, sometimes in a different country. So do check again online or with your counselor if there is a visa center in your country or if you need to travel somewhere. So you need to also then fill in a visa D form, prepare documents, and most likely by this time your counselor should have sent you a list, and those are a little bit different if you are under 18. Vidmante, I think we need, to go back to the full slide. Okay, thank you. And make sure that you have a valid international passport. A health insurance would be prepared for you by LCC. We'll also send you an invitation number, confirmation letter, and then you also need to present documents about your financial sufficiency. So if you haven't started working on your visa application, you need to do that now, unless you are from a specific country that doesn't require a visa or there are some other rules that apply to you. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, but then your migration process does not stop on a visa. So usually students get a visa for about, that would last for about 8-9 months. And then what happens during the rest of your studies? You should have some sort of a document that allows you to stay in Lithuania legally, and that is a temporary residence permit. And again, this is now relevant to all international students, so all non-Lithuanian students. The procedures are a little bit different for EU and non-EU students. So EU students also need a special permit, but that's a little bit different. But all other international students need to apply for a TRP, temporary residence permit. And you can do that only in Lithuania. But in order to do that, you need to prepare documents at home and bring them, the originals and translations, not scans, not copies, but all originals together with you to Lithuania. So one of the very important documents, it's a criminal record document. So a document that basically states that you have not been convicted of any crimes in your home country or in any other country where you lived for more than 6 months during the last 2 years. Once again, you should already have all of those instructions, so this is just a repeat. And everyone needs to get this document. Usually it's the Ministry of Internal Affairs or the police that issues such documents. You will have to check locally in your country which agency issues them, but all countries, believe me, all countries issue them. Then everyone needs to get an apostille on this document. An apostille is this kind of legalization document that proves that the document that you are submitting is actually true. The exception to this rule is for students from Ukraine, Moldova, and Russia. Lithuanian state does not require apostille from those countries. For everyone else, you need both a criminal record and an apostille. Or if your country is not part of a Hague agreement, you will need to do a double legalization. Again, a way to prove that this document is actually true. Once again, you will know for sure if you talk to your counselor which one you need, apostille or double legalization. But unless you're from Ukraine, Moldova, or Russia, you do need to have an apostille on your criminal record. Then you need to prepare bank statements that prove that you have enough money to live in Lithuania, and there is a specific minimum amount that you should have in your bank account that is also indicated in our instructions. You need to fill out an application form, upload those documents online, but also bring them physical hard copies with you in Lithuania. And then in the early December, before you come, you need to already sign up for an appointment. And appointments are usually booked at least within 1 month in advance. So that's why you need to remember to do it in December. So you book the appointment and then you come to Lithuania, and in January, you can already apply for your TRP with the documents that you have prepared. And this is very important. Especially if you are coming to Lithuania without a visa. For example, if you're Ukrainian and you have this biometric passport that allows you to come, you need to really be prepared to apply for TRP right away, because it takes at least 3 months, if I'm not mistaken, to process your application, and you can't waste that time. And you need to make sure that you apply as soon as you can. Do we have another slide? That's it. Okay, I guess that's it. So that was in very kind of brief about the visa and TRP. Once again, all of the instructions are in your emails. So make sure to read them through, and if you have questions, ask them, direct them to your counselor, and then I'll give the word to my colleagues to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Lydia. Can you hear me well? Okay, so let's talk a bit more about arrival for spring 2023. Already, you heard from Vidmanta that arrival and move-in day is January 5th. So it's the best if you would come on that day. Just to inform the ones who are planning to come one day before or 2 days before, LCC is not responsible to give you a hotel or hostel. You have to do reservation by yourself, and this depends on you. So to move into LCC, you're able only from January 5th. Then orientation days are from January 6th to 7th, and studies will begin in January 9th. Important documents. So for all of you, it's really important to bring all required documents and prepare it before your arrival. Just it would be easier for you to come with all the required documents, because if you would come without one of them at least, um, it would make some problems and more stress for you, as we know from experience. So you must bring package for Tier B application, financial sufficiency and criminal records, also power of attorney, parents' permission to sign a study contract, but only for those who are under 18 years old. All others who are 18 years old or older, you don't need to bring this document. Logins and MOODLE orientation. So all of you who already paid deposit and we send you logins, you will have to use them also to log in into MOODLE. So before your arrival, you have to complete the MOODLE orientation um, tests, and the online orientation will be available from December 12th to December 31st. So during that time, you will have to do MOODLE online orientation tests. Also, you have to use and check your LCC Gmail regularly. I'm sorry. It is really important to check your email. And also, we would like to ask you to use your LCC email when you're sending emails to us, or in the future, you will send some emails to migration coordinator, let's say. So we would highly recommend to use your LCC email. Also, we would like to remind you to learn how to log in to Moodle, to Teams, I'm sorry, and to Moodle, and get familiar with LCC Internet Portal. Um, then, I don't know if all of you already joined, but we have Telegram group for just to update you with the latest news and instructions as well. So, important documents to bring. You have to bring your passport and, of course, visa, because without it, you won't be able to come to Lithuania. And we would like to suggest you to um, have your passport valid at least for upcoming 4 or 5 years, just in case if your passport would expire in coming 3 years, you would have to go to your country to issue and get a new passport. So just to skip that problem, we would highly suggest you to have passport, which is valid up to 5 years at least. Also, you have to have documents for Tier B, as I mentioned. So it have to be criminal record with apostille, double legalization if required. Not for all countries is required, um, and financial support documents. Then, as I mentioned before, for under 18, they have to have power of attorney, which is parents' permission allowing you to sign the study contract. And original high school diploma and supplements with final exam results, translations into English is a must as well.
Just to emphasize that uh, such documents as original high school diplomas and power of attorney, so that applies to all students, doesn't matter where they're coming from. So even if you're coming from Lithuania and you are under 18 years old, you are also required to bring your power of attorney to admissions office, also to show us your original documents of your education. So this is just important to mention. In documents such as TRP documents, this applies mostly to students who are coming from non-EU countries, but also students who are coming from other EU countries, not including Lithuania. You also are expected to bring certain documents to apply for the residence permit. Again, your counselor will send you more information of what kind of documents you need to bring, and you also will be required to sign up for the appointment early in December. And now I'll pass on the word to my colleague, Yava.
Okay, hello everyone. Hear me? Okay, so let's talk and finally repeat all the things that you have to do. So if you're an accepted student, you have to pay the admission deposit. As my colleagues already mentioned, the admissions deposit is 300 euros and it will be deducted from your uh, bill. Uh, e- when you pay your admissions deposit, only then you will be able to start your visa process. So as soon as you pay admissions deposit, as the sooner you will have ability to start applying for Visa D. Also for housing, if you are not paying admissions deposit, you will not be able to apply for housing. And if you are an international student, it will cause you a lot of difficulties. So please be in time with paying admissions deposit and then applying for housing. Of course, again, as we have repeated a lot of times during this presentation, you will receive the information from your counselor. So please read all the emails and all the instructions will be in your emails from your counselor. Okay, so let's talk about more fun things. So you did all of your stuff that you had to do at home, and now you are planning your trip to Lithuania to LCC. So first of all, what you have to do is you have to look for your tickets, for your flight tickets to any of those four airports that are near Klaipėda. So it's Riga in Latvia and Vilnius, Kaunas, or Palanga in Lithuania. Uh, please do that in advance because you might not get the dates that you need and it will cost you more expenses because then you'll have to rent a hotel for a longer time or you will not make it on time for official move-in date or the orientation. So from those airports, you can go to Klaipėda in different ways. So you can use trains, you can use taxis, you can use buses, or you can rent private transfers. It's up to you, but make sure that you actually research before your trip and book tickets if it's available, because then you will avoid delays and all other miscommunications. What to bring to LCC? Uh, when you come to LCC, think about that you'll have probably nothing. You don't want to fly with bedding and you don't want to fly with utensils and you don't want to fly with plates and cups probably. You can easily buy those things here in Klaipėda. They are not that expensive, or you can rent bedding from LCC. Your personal items, clothing, medicine that you need to bring with yourself or find way to buy it or get it here in Lithuania. So as we mentioned before, official move-in date in LCC residence halls are January 5th. So again, if you are coming and you're flying before that date, if you're coming a couple of days earlier, 3 days, 2 days earlier, you need to rent a hotel, find a hostel or any other kind of place to stay in Klaipėda or in any other city around, but you have to find your own place before the official move-in date. So the orientation will start on January 6th. Orientation is created for you to have a strong start at LCC International University. You will be guided, you will have tours around campus, you will meet professors, you will meet your friends, other students, and that will help you to feel more confident before your classes start. You will have a lot of activities. So this orientation is mandatory for every single student that starts classes in January semester, in spring semester 2023. And your official classes will start after the orientation. So it's going to be on January 9th. Okay, let's talk about time when you were actually at LCC. You did all of the things, you moved in, and your classes are about to start. So the very important rule is not to be late. plan ahead and give yourself a little bit extra time because you'll need time to find classes, to actually move around LCC campus and get to know the rooms and the floors. So don't make yourself an additional stress because it will be probably a little bit stressful at first. So give yourself a little bit extra time. Your class schedules will be prepared for you by LCC Register in advance. So that means, once again, read the emails and make sure you know all of your logins to the Moodle, to our portal, intranet, to even know your email logins and you know how to use the Teams. During the orientation, the picture of you will be taken, and the card, LCC ID, LCC student card, will be made for you. These cards are designed for you to actually access the building, access residence halls, and get your books. Read the emails again because you will know the schedule when the books will be, when you collect the books. So also please don't be late and collect the books in the time period given because it's very important for your classes, for your homework, and for you to actually feel confident in the classes so that you have prepared everything that you need. Another very important task for you is set up a meeting with migration coordinator. You will also receive an email where she is in LCC, in actual campus. You will receive the information about her room. Please set up a meeting because it's very important for you to get all the process done regarding your legal stay at LCC. Also, as mentioned before, bring your original documents, original diplomas to the admissions office. And the last, and repeat 1,000 times, and I'm going to repeat it again, read your emails daily and please respond. You can just respond, okay, thank you, I understand, but read it because sometimes students miss very important things. And later on, there are a lot of problems when students miss deadlines or any other kind of important information. Okay, we are probably done. And this time now is for you to ask questions if you have any.
Again, what things just Yeva mentioned, that during the orientation on January 6th to 7th, and these are days particularly when you will meet your other classmates in person and you will have a leader who will help you to orient yourself on LCC campus. They will be able to show you where to get your books, how to access your class schedule. So for the classes, at the moment, you do not have to register anywhere. The classes will be ready for you upon your arrival, and during the orientation, your leaders will show you where to find your schedule, how to find your classes. You will get an LCC tour, and so on. So I see that the questions are coming in. Let's see what questions you have. We see that some people just raise.
I guess, yeah, I can get us started. I see a question from, yeah, can you hear me? I'm not sure if you can hear me.
I see that Lena is raising the hand, so let me check if I can unmute yourself. Okay, so I can allow you to unmute yourself so you can ask the question.
Oh, hi. My name is Lina.
Hi, Lena.
I was just wondering, what if you come to LCC?
I think we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now? So I was just wondering, what if you arrive like 2 days later because of like flight difficulties? What happens then?
Well, we encourage not to be late because you would miss the orientation. And it's very important to also be there for the first class. Usually, those students who start later, we cannot ensure the success of their studies or the success in the first year. So we want to be successful, everyone, and that so that they would get the best experience.
Yeah, I understand. So
Exactly.
like if you come like 2 days later, you will still be able to like go to your housing and everything is going to be fine. You're just going to miss the orientation, right?
Yes, technically, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Also, I have another question. Can I ask them? So I was just, you said that we're gonna have like a prepared class schedule. I was wondering if we will not be able to choose our own courses, or what if like I would like to have like one course more or two courses more?
The first semester students are not able to choose their own courses. This class schedule is done by registrar's office. Only after the first semester students can start choosing their own class.
Okay, thank you. And then also I booked my housing in LCC Campus, and then I received an email that I have to pay the housing deposit, and I'm not sure how to make the payment.
So have you already made the deposit payment?
I've made the like
Additional.
300 euros
Yeah.
deposit
Okay. So
payment.
you should be fine. Who's your counselor?
Lille.
Okay, so then we need to, we will just check with housing because they might have sent information to all students because our current students, they do have to make the deposit payment, but maybe just you got in the mix and you received that information. But if
Okay,
you
thank
paid
you.
already the admissions deposit, you should be fine.
Okay, thank you. That was it. Thanks a lot.
I think I'm going to jump in with some questions. Can you guys hear me? So I've started answering the questions in the chat, but I could also kind of quickly say them here. So for criminal record document, in most cases, it is required to have the original with stamps, with signatures. We know that now in Ukraine, it is not possible. They're only given online, and we have researched that option for Ukraine. The migration service allows you to print out the document that you download online, but also when you come for your appointment, you should be able to show the online version on your phone. So make sure that you know how to do that. But this is only for Ukraine. If you're from other countries, and can't get the document, talk to your counselor. They should be able to consult you and tell you how and where you can get your document. So that's about criminal record. Then I see Irina had a question about medical insurance. How much does it cost? So there are two insurances that we book. One is for visa, if you are applying for a visa, and another one is for TRP, and that's for all international students. They cover only emergency cases. So if you have some sort of a medical condition that requires additional treatment, you will need to buy an additional insurance. But the insurances that we book for you at LCC are in all accordance to the requirements of the migration services and the requirements of the Lithuanian law. So the cost is different. I have just looked up the cost for the one that you need for TRP, and it costs 80 euro per year. Usually students apply for 2 years TRP. So you in your first year you can get one that covers the next 2 years of your studies at LCC. So you would have to pay not 80 euro but 160 euro for the 2 years. Again, that amount would be added towards your account at LCC. and you would be able to see that in your statement along with your tuition and housing fees and pay according to the deadlines. Right?
And I see there is a question from Farham, right? So you can ask the question now. It should allow you to unmute yourself.
So if you look at your settings, you should be able to see this little white microphone. And if you press on it, it should be working.
So there is also the question, will I need to pay for the books? So there is no additional charge for the course books. So students get it free of charge. So once you arrive to LCC, when it's your first class, usually it's the first week of classes when students are able to get the books from library. But you will be notified by the library when to come, and the books will be distributed to you. So there's no additional charges for the books. What the additional charges, what would be, that would be for printing. So if you need to print, so what you will be able to do, but again, during the orientation, you'll be informed how to do. So you'll get an LCC card, and usually you can put some money in your LCC card and use our computer labs and printers to print. So there would be additional charge for the prints that you might need. But sometimes, more and more professors, they are asking to submit your papers online. So I don't think so that there would be a lot of printing.
And there was also a question from Toma regarding Prime. So that's quite a big question, and I'll make sure to send you a very detailed information. And we have also recorded a webinar about the program previously, but just to give you kind of a quick overview, let me share my screen really quickly. This is our page on the website, lcc.lt, that actually shows you the structure of the Prime program. So in the spring semester, you can see these are the courses that you will be taking: academic reading, university research writing, academic communications, integrated skills, text interpretation, and contemporary global issues. So you will have classes every day, like other BA students. You will have your schedule packed and busy. So that's how many? 6 courses. So roughly three classes per day from 1 to 1.5 hours. And then you would be expected to do a lot of homework, a lot of reading and writing. So you will be quite busy during your Prime semester. And then once you successfully do all of the coursework in this program, then you would be able to move on to only BA classes in the next semester. So, but there are quite a few of you who are starting from Prime, which is a great opportunity for you to kind of give yourself a good head start, prepare a little bit more for your academic studies in your chosen major. And once again, if you have questions about the program, if you would like to learn more, hear from our students, email your counselor. And Tom, I remembered your request. I'll make sure to send you more information via email.
We want you to encourage to have a habit to check both your personal and LCC emails regularly and daily, because the most important information will be sent to your emails, and we want to make sure that you understand the information and that you follow the instructions. So we send the information so that you would be informed and that your arrival and the beginning of your studies would be as smooth as possible. From our experience, we have learned that a lot of young people and a lot of first year students who are just starting their studies, they still don't really have a habit of checking the emails. And from December 1st, we will start sending information to only to your LCC email accounts. So that's very important so that you would regularly check your email and follow the instructions. And as I mentioned, from our experience, we know that students don't read the information and don't follow the instructions, then the transition and the arrival is not that smooth as you might want. So we want you to give you a good experience, a pleasurable experience, the beginning of your studies. We want you to be informed. We want you to know all the details. So we want you just to inform and encourage you to start creating a habit to read your emails regularly and to follow the instructions. And again, always if there's something you don't really clearly understand, please communicate to your admissions counselors. We are here to help you, to guide you, to greet you once you arrive here. Uh, it's better to have a lot of questions rather just skip or ignore the information that you are sent. Um, okay, so there's a question from Farhan about Apostle. Yeah, so in the country, as I know you're coming from Pakistan, I guess. So students who are coming from countries where Apostle is not available, that means that these students need to double legalize the documents. So double legalization is the first step would be to get a stamp from the Foreign Affairs Ministry in your country where the document was issued. So if you get a criminal record in Pakistan, that means that you need to go and get a stamp from Foreign Affairs Ministry as a first step of a double legalization. And then once you arrive here, then you will need to get another stamp from the embassy. But again, your counselor is able to send you more detailed information because this information about the double legalization process differs by country. So it varies by country and even by year, depending if the government changed and officials change. So it really depends. So I would encourage you to contact your admissions counselor for further information.
I see another question from Victor, and I think he meant, can we study the second semester during the summer and catch up with the fall semester that we missed? That's a very good question, and just to let you a little bit more, let you know more about how the process of studies at LCC works, we have two entry point, so you can start your studies in the fall and also in the spring, and we have two graduations, so you can graduate in May and you can graduate in December. So basically, if you study if you begin to study in spring, you will roughly finish in 4 years, and you will just have a December graduation if you follow kind of the regular course. But you can also take summer courses. Summer courses are different from a regular semester. We do not have a summer semester, but we have summer sessions, or we call them summer courses. So there's one in May and one in June that you can take every summer. And this way you could earn extra credits. So take more courses and finish earlier if you want to. Starting from your second year in your BA program, you will be able to create your own schedule and to register for the classes on your own. There's a minimum amount of courses that you can take in order to be full-time. but also you can take a few on top of that. And that would, of course, make you busier, but that would also allow you to finish earlier if you want to. Um, when you come to LCC during the freshman orientation, you will have a separate meeting with the register office that will explain all of this in a lot of detail to you, so you'll be able to once again review that. But just important to remind that, especially if you are a student who is reliant on financial aid, it only covers the standard course load. So if you take more courses, you would have to pay for them separately.
I also want to add that there's sometimes a misconception what the spring intake is. So sometimes people say, "Oh, I missed the first semester." No, you don't miss anything. You are just starting from spring semester, and there isn't really a catch up. So this is a very good way to start in spring semester. And if only I learned, if only I knew that there's spring semester intake, I would have used this opportunity to have more time to rest after high school. So spring semester is not missing the fall semester, but is just starting your classes and your studies from spring semester. And LCC style and the model is different from others. So there isn't really a catch up. You will still be a full-time student. You will have classes with the rest of LCC community. You have to understand that once you come to LCC in spring, it doesn't mean that you will stick to your spring semester group for the remaining 4 years, but you will be among other students because our classes are offered in a bit different way, which is difficult to explain in the words. But once you come, you'll realize that it's not missing. It's just starting your studies in spring semester. All right, I guess I don't see any other questions. Some of the questions still can be sent to your admissions counselors. I'm very happy that you joined today, that you spend this time together with us. And I'm really hoping that this clarified some of the things or some of your fears that you might have. Again, if you have other concerns, questions, or something is not clear, let your counselor know. It's always good for us to know what questions or what kind of fears come to your mind, um, that would allow us to prepare better next time and to address some of the fears and issues that new students might encounter while transitioning to the university life. So these kind of fears, your concerns and questions are helpful for us in order to improve and also to prepare certain information for the future and maybe for you. Maybe there are still some things that we can address while you're making up your mind or while you're preparing for your studies in spring. Okay, well, thank you for your time. Thank you to my colleagues for the things that they shared today. And we are very excited to see you on campus. And it's November, but soon January will come and we will see you here for the orientation. Have a great weekend. Not weekend, have a great week. It's just the week has just started. But have a great evening. For some of you, might be a morning, or for some of you, it might be a very late evening. Have a great evening.
Yeah, let's be in touch. So see you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.